Hello, I'm Faith. I'm a family health coach. This is video 3 of the series Brain Health, and we're particularly looking at your children's brain health. As I said earlier, I am looking at this video is correlating with the third video on Matthew's Brain Health channel, and it would be great if your children can watch it. And then this is the parents' version, to just give you a bit more background information, a bit more in-depth, maybe a bit of more science and scripture in depth. And I'm hoping this will spark a lot of conversation within the family, and not only conversation, but I'm hoping this will also help you parents in helping your children with their brain health. Now, why brain health? We've talked about it before. The brain is all our processes, whether of decision making, of movement, of actions, originates from the brain. So when you have a good healthy brain, you're able to make good choices. Good choices lead to a good life. So that is why we want to start with brain health, because once our brain is healthy, then generally, most likely, the rest of our body is also going to be healthy. So thank you for stopping here. As I said, I'm Faith. I'm a family health coach, and we're going to work together to for the family to be in good health, but we're specifically looking at this point in time for our children's brain health. However, the information here is useful for any of your family members, but in terms of the more specific information is for anyone under 25. Today we're looking at the prefrontal cortex, and the prefrontal cortex is a part of the brain that we find right at the front. Okay, so here at the front is the prefrontal cortex, and if I open this up, it's right here, the prefrontal cortex. Right, the prefrontal cortex is known as the boss of the brain, and we're going to go into more detail about this. So we've already said the brain is the boss of the body, and the prefrontal cortex is the boss of the brain. So the prefrontal cortex, I've got a few notes I just look at to keep on track with the just to ensure that the information I'm talking about is specifically for video 3. So the prefrontal cortex, it helps with focus, beyond just the short attention span. So anything beyond 8 seconds, you have actually used your prefrontal cortex to say, no, let me keep focused on what I'm doing here. Okay, it supports the prefrontal cortex, is also responsible for good decision making, and quite often good choices aren't only about what is fun at this moment. Good choices also take into consideration what will be of benefit for the future. So all that reasoning takes place in the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is also good for organizing and planning. For example, knowing what time to wake up to be able to get to work on time, what time to leave home to be able to go to an appointment and be there in time. So all that is done by the prefrontal cortex. You might find that with your children, you often need to help them with some of that, remembering to stay focused, remembering rationalizing good choices, and also planning and organizing. And you might find it a bit frustrating, the way you have to be quite repetitively going over things with them. But here's why we're going to be talking about it just now in terms of the prefrontal cortex. Now, so what happens with the prefrontal cortex is that it makes up 30% of the human brain. So it's 1/3 of the human brain. And this just shows how important it is, because the body is such an efficient machine. So there's no reason why God would have given 30% of of the brain to the prefrontal cortex is because it's got a big function that it needs to carry out. So and this is unique to human beings, that the prefrontal cortex is 30% of the brain. You'll find in cats it's 3%. That's why they need 9 lives, because they make a lot of mistakes. Then you'll find in rats it's 1%. So that's why in those kind of animals we don't get some of the higher level rationalizing, reasoning, planning, focus, and good choice making, with thought about what this will mean for the future. So the other thing to know, besides the fact that it's 30% of the human brain, is the fact that it develops last. So brain development in human beings takes place from the back towards the front. And we already talked about how brain development, the brain finishes developing at 25 for girls and 28 for boys. So what happens is, if the brain is developing from the back forwards, the prefrontal cortex being right at the front, that is what develops last. Okay? So you'll find it's fully developed at the age of 25 to 28. Right. So now you understand. Now you understand why your children often need help to be reminded to stay focused beyond just what is needed for a short attention span. Now you understand why your children need help with making good choices that also take account on this choice is not just for now. It's not just about having fun now. What will this mean for the future? Now you understand. Now you understand why you need to help your child planning and organizing. And this is something that you often need to, quite every now and then, help them plan and organize themselves. Now it all makes sense. It's because the prefrontal cortex in your children hasn't developed. It only has fully developed at the age of 25 and 28. Therefore, it means that we as adults, as responsible adults, need to be the prefrontal cortex for our children. They really do need that parental guidance. Okay, and I think if your children have had the chance to watch the video 3, they will also understand that actually I do need my parent. I do need to talk some of my my decisions through with my parents. Not so because my parents want to live my life for me, but they will help me rationalize it and think about whether this choice is good for my future. It will also take away some of the fact where children think, oh, parents are just wanting to be bossy. They just want to tell me what to do. I'm not saying you're going to walk around saying, I'm the prefrontal cortex of you, for you, so this is what I'm saying as your prefrontal cortex. No, we don't want to disempower children, that we take away the decision making totally. It's that you are there to walk them through their decision making, helping them see things in the future. And obviously, when they're younger, yes, you still need to do, the simple decisions, day-to-day things. What are you going to eat? Strawberries or kiwis? Which one would you like? That's a different thing. You give them those small decisions, and then you keep upgrading the decision making as they get older. And by the time they are in their teens and so on, there are things that you need to be really giving them a chance to also kind of show that they've been listening to how you've been helping them rationalize and decision make. So we always have to be careful. As much as we're their prefrontal cortex, we also want to be careful not to disempower them. We want to ensure that we're doing it in a way that also builds up their confidence, helps them to start also thinking about, oh, these are some of the steps that I need to be thinking through. These are some of the steps I need to be taking when I'm planning this, so that we're raising men and women who are of good for the future, rather than men and women who reach 25 and 28 and are still looking to parents to say, oh, what do you think I should do? Consultation, as in wise counsel, that's a different matter. But they're going to be things that they need to be really on their feet and making decisions on by the time they're in late teen years and also getting towards the early adulthood. Obviously, still leaning on you as their prefrontal cortex. But it also means as parents, we have a challenge. We have a challenge to keep open communication with our children so that they can come to us, they can trust us, they can see that, oh yes, we have a relationship, this is the kind of relationship that we have, that we can talk things through, and it actually is of benefit for my future. So this is a two-way thing, and communication is always going to be a two-way thing. So this is the challenge for us parents. So now we know why we usually need to help our children with these decision making, staying focused, planning, and organizing. We're going to talk about some habits that are actually very useful for our children in terms of brain health. So a study has shown that eating up to 8 portions of fruit and vegetables a day boosts well-being, feeling of well-being. Okay, and in this study they called it happiness. So challenge yourself and your children. At the dinner table, we're always talking about, okay, this is the number of fruit and vegetables I'm having on my table, on my plate. Usually when you pack their lunches and so on, you've already thought through what fruit and vegetables you're putting in there, and we do a tally. Where am I today? Have I eaten my 8 fruits and vegetables today? And obviously you know very well, if this is going to be of benefit for brain health, we already know the benefits that fruit and vegetables are to the rest of the body. And we're not talking about same colored fruit and vegetables. We want to look at the rainbow, because all these different fruits and vegetables offer various things that they offer to our body and to our brain. And they've got key vitamins and minerals that our body and our brain need to be able to function well and to function optimally. You can say, oh, I don't eat much fruit and vegetable, but I'm fine. Try them. Try eating up to between 5 and 8, and ideally 8 fruit and vegetable in daily. Try it for 2 weeks and just see if there isn't a difference that you see, that you notice, and then you realize, actually, I thought I was functioning optimally, but there's another level that I can kick to, and that's an even more optimal level. So that's something maybe you can make into a family challenge. And the lovely thing about talking about this and knowing that it's good for the body's health is that, and the brain health, when you say this to your children, they might be more willing to explore certain fruits and vegetable groups that they were not keen on. And it's not about big amounts. Remember, you give them small tastes of something. And another thing, at least they should try it at least 3 times before they say, actually, that's not for me. And once they've tried it at least 3 times and they say it's not for me, as long as they don't have an allergy to it or an intolerance to it, you just blend it and hide it in the spaghetti bolognese. You just blend it and hide it in all the different sauces that you make. You know, blend it and hide it in the juice that you can be making, or even blending that fruit and making it into ice poles, making your own ice lollies. So there's always ways around it. And once they get used to that taste without actually realizing it's that particular fruit and vegetable, when you next put it on the plate again, it's not such a foreign taste to them, and they're more likely to be acceptable to it. So that's something to just it's a bit of an adventure, isn't it? And how you can try and incorporate more fruits and vegetables. And it doesn't have to be expensive, fruit and vegetables. There's various ways that you can get cheaper fruit and vegetables. I won't go into detail about that, but we know there's things like the the boxes that the supermarkets are doing in the UK, where it's where they're trying not to waste, where it's still good enough, but maybe the date is just on that day, or it's just passed by a day, and they put it in the cheaper boxes. And I've always found that that's a lovely way of exploring new fruits and vegetables that you might not have had a chance to taste, because you're not buying it at full price. You buy that box. I always look out if there's fruit or vegetables that I haven't tried before in those boxes. I pick one of those boxes. It's cheaper, £2 in most of the supermarkets. And then you can have a chance, look up some recipes of how you can use that fruit or vegetable, or even just try it as it is. So yeah, that's something to explore. So the other thing that in video 3 that came to light is that multitasking is a myth. I am going to pin a video in the comments below that you'll be able to watch. It's a BBC video. It's talking about how we think we're being more efficient by multitasking, but the truth of the matter is multitasking actually decreases our efficiency and the quality of our work. So children should focus on one task at a time, and be it homework, without games go on. However, maths homework with a bit of classical music is always good. Apparently, they say classical music helps with subjects like maths. So nice and quiet, obviously, nothing that's too disturbing, that's no longer in the background, it then becomes a focus, just nice and quietly. But generally, multitasking is a no-no. If you want to produce good quality work and efficiently, focus on one task at a time and just tick through your list. However, there are some activities that can be paired, as I was just saying, listening to music while looking at pictures, because these activities use two separate areas of the brain. But things that use the same area of your brain, it's a myth if you think you're multitasking and being efficient. You're actually reducing your efficiency and reducing the quality of your work. Do take a look at the video below that I've linked, and just see more detail about this for yourself. The other thing that we're going to be looking at is the automatic negative thoughts. Now, I introduced that last time, and we talked about automatic negative thoughts, how they're abbreviated as ANTs, and we've got the ANTs here. And then we talked about the 2 questions that challenge the automatic negative thoughts, and that's where the anteater comes in. And we do have the ant and the anteater here. Those are props that we're using in the children's videos. Just so I have them here so that you're just familiar with them when your children talk about them. But one of the things that we said very clearly is that the biggest anteater is the Bible, because that is the truth. Okay, so because the anteater questions are saying, is it true? Is it 100% true? So how do we measure, is it true? Is it 100% true? We use the truth, which is the Bible. Okay, so in video 3, the one of the things, the automatic negative thought that was discussed was, my parents are bossy. And this matches very well with what we're talking about today, the part of the brain we're talking about today, the prefrontal cortex, where yes, we need to be our children's prefrontal cortex, because that's not fully developed until our children are 25 or 28. So while we're going through these things, the helping them focus, helping them plan, helping them organize, helping them decision making, they might start having an automatic negative thought that my parents are bossy, they want to run my life for me, they want to they're telling me what to do. So obviously have a discussion about it, and have a discussion about what is good communication, how good communication looks like, and also be sensitive as a parent how you structure your communication with your child. And obviously a lot of negative feelings towards parents are also around the fact that we might just kind of come in and only want to help with the decision making, but you don't want to be there to play football with them, to skip with them and so on. So we have to remember that we also need to be very sincere in our relationship building with our children. Not necessarily that we're their friends, but we are their parents, and we have to have a relationship with our children. So for the automatic negative thought that comes, my parents are being bossy. Is that true? Is that really true? Is the anteater questions. And the biggest anteater we come to is the Bible. And the Bible in Ephesians 6 verse 1-3 says, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise, so that it may go well with you and that you may enjoy long life on the earth." So that's the ultimate truth. It encourages our children to have listening ears towards us as their parents, and to honor us by obeying us. However, it also doesn't mean that we beat our children with the Bible. In Ephesians 6 verse 1-3 it says, as I said, it's very important for us to form sincere relationships with our children. Now, what are the key takeaways from this video? Video 3, the key takeaways for us as parents are that we need to model focus and good choices. Children imitate our adult guidance, and until their prefrontal cortex matures, okay? So we want to model focus and good choices, so that when our children are looking at us, they have seen how we model it, and children are very good at following models. So in our homes, we need to be modeling how to make focus and good choices. In our home, we also need to be modeling honoring our parents. So what are your children seeing? How do you interact with your own parents? Or even if your parents are not alive, how are you interacting or honoring whoever is the significant father figure, mother figure in your life? So again, the challenge, one of the key takeaways for us as parents is the challenge in that, let us look at ourselves, let us practice what we preach, let us show first before we speak it, and tell it to our children. What are we modeling? We are modeling focus and good choices. We're modeling honoring our parents. The other thing to take away as parents is encouraging healthy eating. Now, healthy eating is not going to take place by just talking about it. It has to be something that is possible from the kind of food that you have within your home, and the food and the way of eating you have within your home. So as much as we're talking about children's brain health, while we're working towards their brain health, we're actually also ensuring optimal brain health for ourselves. So fruit and vegetables being readily available within the home, and encouraging them to eating them. Obviously, as we said, that directly supports mood and brain health. So let's encourage healthy eating within the home. Now, let's discourage multitasking, okay? And let's model that too, okay? So teach children how to complete tasks one at a time for better outcomes. As we said, it makes them more efficient, and it also makes them and us more efficient, and also makes us, or it raises the quality of the work. As parents, we also want to challenge negative thoughts. So we're going to help our children reframe automatic negative thoughts with truth-checking questions and positive reinforcement. So we're going to be using the scriptures or moral frameworks, and this will help strengthen resilience within our children against harmful thought patterns. So I hope you've enjoyed this video 3, where we've been talking about the prefrontal cortex, the boss of the brain. And as I've introduced myself before, my name is Faith. I'm a family health coach, and this is the Brain Health series. Thank you.